Hello and welcome to TTV. In the studio with us today we have Dr. Sivaprasad, who is a specialist gastroenterologist and a hepatologist at Aster. First of all, doctor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Antara. Thank you so much for having me here.
And of course, today is World Hepatitis Day, and we're going to start with the basics. Okay, so can you tell me the functions of the liver to begin with?
Well, you see, as we have the brain, that is the master controller, so I would like to think of the liver as something that controls at least the abdominal cavity and things, from the chest downwards on. So the liver has a multitude of functions, numbering in thousands basically. It acts as a production house, a factory for the sourcing of proteins, for production of hormones, for the control of blood sugar, for the control of your thyroid, and it is almost important in every singular aspect of your digestive system. So I would say that it is a master controller of the digestive tract.
Right. So let's move forward and let's talk about hepatitis. Yeah. What is hepatitis?
Well, hepatitis is basically a blanket term that is used for any inflammation that might befall the liver. So it results from multiple conditions. It can be as simple as having a little bit of fat in your liver, to going as to something very sinister as having viruses attacking your liver and creating complications in the future. And last but not the least, let's not forget alcohol, which is something that is creeping up on all of us. It is really disrupting many lives. It is really disrupting many people's careers and families, and that is also one of the major causes of hepatitis worldwide.
And how can we take precautions to prevent this?
Prevention is definitely better than cure. So that adage holds true very much for the hepatitis epidemic or pandemic that we have. See, the hepatitis sort of numbers in billions. People who suffer from hepatitis number in billions basically. The thing being that there are a lot of simple things that we can do as normal educated human beings, so as to take this message forward. What ideally we need to do is that, I'm sure that our families, our parents have taught us that the best way to have a career is to get a job, earn a good salary and spend less. Now, when you talk about the liver, what happens in that case is that you eat a lot of food, you earn that, you consume that, and all of that is stored in your liver. So the issue that we have over here is that that's the bank. So it is not able to expend that fat. It is not able to expend that toxins that accumulate in your liver, and that sort of builds up to cause inflammation and such. So what we need to do is that we need to consume less. In this case, at least in this case, we need to consume less calories, we need to consume less fats, we need to have a good lifestyle, we need to have a less consumption of saturated fats, less consumption of sugars and such, and thereby we can limit the accumulation of fats in your liver, and thereby we can limit the occurrence of hepatitis, that is fatty liver at least to an extent. So that's the first point I'd like to stress. The second thing is viral hepatitis. See, viral hepatitis is quite an epidemic. In Oman, the estimates are that to the tune of 4 to 7 people suffer from hepatitis B, and about 1% of the population suffers from hepatitis C. So that's not small numbers. So what can one do about it? Now, we don't know as to whether we have it or not. So currently what we can do is that let's get a health checkup once in a year, and let's add the hepatitis screen also to this. So because many a time there are no symptoms for hepatitis. So you detect it when you do a test, and then I'm sorry to say your life changes. So let's do that check so that we catch it early and so that we can treat it appropriately.
Right. And you mentioned that yes, life changes once you've discovered that you have hepatitis, but what can be done to treat it?
Every hepatitis is different because it depends on different conditions. Like I said, hepatitis is just a blanket term for inflammation in the liver. So let's say that you are having hepatitis because of fatty liver. The first thing that you can do is that you can exercise. You can cut down on your calories. You can do a little bit of a diet thing. And last but not the least, there are medications that can definitely help you. So get in touch with a gastroenterologist and a dietitian who will help you with that. So that's about fatty liver. Then with regards to hepatitis B and hepatitis C, which are the chronic hepatitis that we have. So For that, we have a good number of tests. We have a good number of medications that we have. The importance of catching the hepatitis, the viral hepatitis at least young, is that hepatitis goes through multiple stages. First you have the hepatitis, then it progresses to cirrhosis, wherein your liver becomes practically, it loses about 90% of its function, and finally, last but not the least, unfortunately, people can develop cancer of the liver. So to cut this short, what can be done is that we need to treat the hepatitis, the viral hepatitis, and that can hopefully slow the progression or halt the progression, and so that we don't have to deal with the major issues in the future.
Agree,
and I'm just sorry to cut you off, but one more thing, alcohol. Alcohol, like I said, is a major cause of hepatitis. So stop drinking.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, as simple as that.
Not too hard to give up.
It's all in our hands. It's all in our hands. It's just a matter of whether we'll take the right steps or not.
Correct, correct. And Doctor, one final question. We spoke about the causes earlier.
Yeah.
So in your personal experience, what have you identified as top causes, at least locally?
In locally, the most common cause is definitely fatty liver. Just like I said, at least in the GCC, we have an epidemic of obesity also going up. Because of conditions like obesity, because of high blood sugars, because of high cholesterol levels, there is accumulation of fat in the liver, and this progresses to hepatitis, and that can get complicated in the future.
Right.
So that's the most common cause. But like I said, viral hepatitis is also rising, and alcohol consumption, thankfully, in the GCC is slightly on the lower side, but still we do come across cases of alcoholic hepatitis, and those are things that are easily controllable. Those are things that should not happen, and I think with the right kind of education, the right kind of outlook, we can prevent these kind of preventable illnesses, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely, Doctor. But thank you so much for sharing those insights with us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Lovely, lovely.
Thank you
so much. Thanks so much for having me here.
For more updates, stay tuned and keep watching TTV.